from the Oak Wall Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hello, this is Jesse Oakley III, and welcome to the Oak Zone, where we provide words of wisdom for you, that's right, you, the happy people. Now, today is a Sunday, and it is time for the Sunday Morning Chat Series. And on the Sunday Morning Chat Series, we interview a plethora of positive people that are making a big difference in their community, whether they're speakers, writers, yoga instructors, Bitcoin experts, animal rescue volunteers. You name it, you get to interview them right here on the Sunday Morning Chat Series. Now, I look for amazing people from all over the world that are making a big difference in their community. And I tell you, there are close to 8 billion people all over the world on this planet Earth. And I'm sure that each individual has a positive contribution to the Earth, to the society, and to the community. Now, I am proud to interview one of these awesome people and a fellow Toastmaster. I got to say that she is going to talk about something called GRAVITAS, and I'm looking forward to that. So without any further delay, please help me welcome none other than Miss Nikki Quinn. Hey, Nikki, how's it going?
Great, thank you, Jason. It's absolutely wonderful to be here across the airwaves. Thank you so much for the opportunity of joining you this morning.
All right, and it's always great to be here, and thank you for actually doing this Oak Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series episode. And without further delay, let's chat. Okay, the first question I have for you is, there's something called GRAVITAS. Could you explain to the happy people out there what GRAVITAS is?
Yeah, so one of the things that I noticed in my corporate career, Jason, that a lot of people would say, I'm so good at my job, but I'm not getting promoted. I'm not getting what I want out of my role at work. And I started thinking about it because I was getting a lot of satisfaction out of the work that I was doing. And I realized that it was this thing called gravitas or executive presence. Well, what is gravitas really? It's a virtue from ancient Roman times, and it really means weightiness, seriousness, dignified, and often people who have gravitas are very, very influential.
Ooh, wow, that's truly fantastic, and that's a key element right there. Now, how can gravitas be important in today's modern times?
Right. So if you've ever received feedback from somebody at work that you need to develop that executive presence, that you need to level up in terms of your engagement levels with senior leaders at your client or within your organization, it's very possible that you need to develop your gravitas. And as I put it, you need to get your gravitas on. It does take a little bit of concerted effort, but it's seriously you and I and all of those happy people out there, you too can get your gravitas on.
All right, fantastic. Now, I believe there are 5 key points, gravitas, and I was wondering, could you explain these 5 key points? What do they consist of?
Absolutely. There's 2 of them that we learn right here at Toastmasters. And I was really excited when I first came across this program and realized that I'd been in Toastmasters developing some of the skills that we need to get our gravitas on. The first one is body language. Have you ever been to a meeting and somebody sits back with their arms closed or slouches? You don't really want to engage with that person. Have you ever been to a meeting when somebody doesn't really look at you? They're looking away. Those are all about body language and gestures. Some of the things we learn here at Toastmasters, those can help your gravitas. The second thing is some of these, what I call unhelpful verbal habits. A lot of them are cliches. So when people say, in my opinion, well, Why are you saying it if it is somebody else's opinion? Or things like, at the end of the day. Those are cliches, and they don't add a great deal of value, and they detract from what you're saying. Also, those terrible ums and ahs. Oftentimes, politicians say them, and they too detract from the meaning of what you're saying. And it adds to people not necessarily having confidence in you. So those are the first two things.
Okay.
The third thing, we do learn it at Toastmasters too. In fact, all of them we learn at Toastmasters to a degree. But you've got to be assured of the value of your contribution. You know, I often I go to a meeting at work, in the community, at Toastmasters, and there's somebody there who just has to have the last word, prove that they're right all the time, dominate the conversation, take up all of the airtime. That's not helpful. And that doesn't actually add to your gravitas. You have to know that you deserve a spot at that table. And sometimes it means being silent.
Yep.
And that's the fourth part of gravitas.
Right.
You have to have really good judgment about when to keep quiet, about your assertions, and about the questions that you ask. Don't rabbit on, say too much, feel that you have to fill space.
Mm-hmm.
I think at Toastmasters, we learn the power of the pause. And at work, in meetings, when you're trying to develop your career, pausing can help too. So that's the fourth item that I think is really, really important. The final one of the five, and I always start this off by saying, arrogance and gravitas simply cannot coexist.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You know, when you're perceived as arrogant, that links probably to that value of your contribution too. But when you're perceived as being arrogant, you are trying too hard. People read it as perhaps being overbearing and insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And people who deserve their spot at that table, they have nothing to prove. They've proved it already.
Yes.
So all of those five things, they help to build your executive presence or your gravitas. And for many people who've already built the technical skills, they may be a fantastic salesperson, a great coder, a fantastic social worker, or a great paramedic, whatever their role is, but they want to move up the organization. If you can take those five things into consideration, it will help an individual, I think, develop their career a little bit further and get their gravitas on.
Wow. Those were amazing pinpoint lessons on gravitas and key elements right there. For all the happy people that are watching this video, I hope you're sitting down, taking notes, listening, recording, because these five elements will help you in your important business career. And I got to say, Nikki, that my mind is officially blown by all of the points that you shared with us here on the Sunday Morning Chat Series. This is truly phenomenal. Wow, unbelievable. Now, my next question to you is, out of those five, which do you think is the most important key element in gravitas?
Thank you for that question, Jesse. And sometimes I think that it's my biggest challenge as well. And to me, the most important thing is knowing when to remain silent.
Yes.
And funnily enough, at one stage, I chaired our district's table topics contest. And the topic of my contest, table topic was some things are best left unsaid. And I truly believe that. My mum always used to tell me, silence is the best policy.
All right. Fantastic. Now, what are some of the examples that you see with some good gravitas behavior?
Fantastic question. Thanks, Jess. As I mentioned, I've worked in corporate for many, many years, and I was doing really well and I was getting promoted. And I worked with a lady for more than 30 years. We had very, very similar backgrounds, similar education. We worked at the same company. We'd had similar experiences at work, but she wasn't getting the promotions that she thought she deserved. From a technical perspective, Sharon, her name was Sharon, was probably 10 times more efficient than I was. She was called the fixer. You could call her in to fix projects, to sort things out, but she didn't get promoted. And one day I met her at the water cooler and she asked me, what am I doing wrong? Can you help me? And I sat down and I thought about it. And I said, let me think about it for a couple of weeks and let me give you some feedback. And I observed her too. And she always wanted to say something. She always wanted to have the last word. We'd have town halls at work with our leaders all the way from New York and Chicago, here in Johannesburg in South Africa. And she always wanted to say something, and it wasn't always appropriate.
Right.
So I said to Sharon, you know, I think perhaps sometimes you just need to understand that you don't have to prove the value of your work. Everybody knows that technically you are really, really efficient. Try and just take a step back, breathe, and listen rather than talking all the time. And over the next few months, Sharon did that. And I sat back and I watched. And a few months later, Sharon received an award, a Simply Excellent award. And I was like, wow, fantastic. And a few months after that, she got promoted. And she was then a manager of a small team. And later on, this happened about 5 to 6 years ago. Later on, we had a conversation. And I said, now do you see? She said, I wish that I had learned how good I was technically 15 years prior to that, because I would have been promoted even sooner. She still works at that corporate. I've left and moved on. And she's now a really senior, well-respected member of a multinational team. So that's how getting your gravitas on actually can work for you.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Nikki. And you know what? Not only exploded, now my heart exploded in a very good way hearing stories like that. And I can believe that I know that there are so many people that can learn from the tips and the examples of gravitas. And this episode, it's just bringing chills to my bones, actually, hearing about the benefits of gravitas. Wow. Oh, wow. And I got to tell you that next question I have for you is, how can more people know about gravitas?
Well, they can connect with me with absolute pleasure. My name is Nikki Quinn. My email address is Nikki Quinn, NIKKIQUINN 2016 @gmail.com. Alternatively, you can find me on all social media. No, not all social media. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I'd be happy to connect with you, link you up, anybody who's listening today, link you up with articles, material about gravitas. It really can help you elevate and accelerate your career. And I'd encourage you to get in touch with me if you'd like to know more.
All right. And for the Harry people that missed that, do not fret, because the links that Nikki mentioned will be in the description below. So after this interview, that's right, after this interview, with myself and Nikki. If you want more information on Gravitas, just connect to Nikki, and the description will be right there, right below. Right, Nikki?
Yeah, right down there.
All right. Now, the next question I have for you is, time flies when you're having a whole lot of fun. And I do believe that in this portion of this interview, we have something called shout out times, where you get a chance to recognize and say hello to all the happy people out there for making this possible. Now, when it comes to your shout outs, who would you like to say hello to? Who would you like to give thanks to for making this pleasurable experience possible for you?
Well, I joined Toastmasters just over 12 years ago. And I would like to thank the person who welcomed me to that very first meeting. Her name is Frances Fraser. She is a distinguished Toastmaster and a past district governor of Toastmasters in Southern Africa, because she asked me to come back to another meeting. And just a few months later, she asked me if I would serve as the Sergeant at Arms at that club, which I did. And I went on to serve at all levels within our district and meet amazing people who gave me confidence, who gave me the opportunity to connect with people like yourself and many others across the globe. If it wasn't for Toastmasters, I would not have been able to do that. So thank you to Toastmasters.
All right, that's always good. Now, the last question I have for you is a message for my crew, my people that are watching this, those that are subscribed. My crew is called the Happy People. And the Happy People, they always get a wealth of information, learning from different positive people like yourself, making a big difference in the community. If you can offer one advice to my people, my crew, the Happy People, what wise words of wisdom would you like to share?
Thank you, Jace. To all the happy people out there, you're doing it all the time. But I would encourage you, whatever you do, always continue to just take one step forward. One step forward. It'll make you even happier and you will achieve more and more.
All right. And what a perfect bookend to this wonderful interview. And on behalf of all the happy people watching all over the world, I'd like to take this time out to thank you, Nikki, for a wonderful interview and a solid, basic, fundamental lesson on gravitas. Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me, JC. It's an absolute pleasure being here.
All right. And this concludes this episode of the Sunday Morning Chat Series. And if you want more positivity, just go to YouTube, type my name, Jesse Oakley III, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, comment, like, and share these videos with other happy people that you know. And once you're on my YouTube channel, just click on the link, the Sunday Morning Chat Series, and you'll hear past episodes that I've done with more positive people like my friend Nikki. And this concludes this episode of the Oak Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series. Until next time, you happy people, take care and always have a great day. Bye.